Hey guys, we're here with our latest edition, and today we wanted to talk about following our passions and how we came to be where we are today.
Yeah. So following your passion can be a little bit challenging. Like Sherry was doing a little bit of research on life coaching, and it occurred to her that like a lot of people don't even know how to find their passion. So finding your passion can be a little tricky. For me, I didn't find my passion for what I wanted to do until I happened to work at a liquor store and pick up a very old cocktail book. And I picked it up and I started reading through it because I was really bored at work because I was in this sleepy mountain town in Lake Placid and there was not a lot to do during my shifts. But I was managing a liquor store, so I read this old cocktail book and I was like, holy shit, these cocktails sound awesome. Like, how can I get these? And it occurred to me that I had to learn how to make them if I wanted them. And this was back in like 2010, so this was a while ago. And the cocktail revolution had already happened in New York City, or was happening and all that, but it hadn't hit where I was at, a couple hundred miles north of New York City. So nobody was making these cool cocktails, and I wanted to learn these classics. I fell in love with them. And so I started reading this book, wanting to make these cocktails, and I forgot all about how sad I was that I wasn't using my degree and that I was managing a liquor store instead of using my bachelor's in science. That kind of took a back seat, and I started getting really into the idea of wanting to just like pursue the passion of mixology. And I got my big break when my friend was like, hey Paul, why don't you take my Mondays, because they suck. I got nobody and I need a fucking day off.
That's always the shift that people want.
Yeah.
They want to get rid of the Monday night shifts.
Yeah. Well, and this was Monday day too, so I would pull a double on Mondays for her, for Virginia. Hi, Jenny. So I would do that, right? And there was like a lot of days where I would get nobody. But the first day that I showed up for my shift, there was this really awesome chef who was like in his late 50s or early 50s. I don't remember. He had been in the business for 35 years as a chef, right? And was professionally trained. And he was super cool. And I came in with my old cocktail book and I sat down at the table because I got there early to smoke a cigarette. And I was reading about all these old cocktails and I was like, all right, this is what I'm running as a special tonight. And I had nobody. And, I was kind of lame. But that happened for like a couple of weeks. And finally, like, I got a couple people and I started to make some drinks and they really loved them. And then, like, the chef went to me and was like, wow, Paul, like, I've been in this business for 35 years and I've been waiting for somebody like you. Like, most of the bartenders want to just, like, do their 8 and hit the gate. And he's like, I'm waiting, like, 35 years for somebody who cares as much about the drinks as I care about the food. So let's work together and I'm going to help you make your drinks better and make cooler drink components and we'll work together. So it was awesome. We went on to found another restaurant. And then, things happened. He went on to go and found a culinary school in upstate New York, and then I followed him about 6 months in as a bartender. And I've been bartending right now for coming up on 13 years this December. I've been in the food and beverage industry for 22 years. 13 years of those years I've been bartending and doing beverage adjacent stuff like going and managing a beverage program at a restaurant, managing another beverage program at a restaurant, working at a hotel, starting a beverage program there, going to this college and running their beverage program as well as bartending there. So I worked with this amazing chef and he like basically saw my passion and helped me accelerate my career and follow him and help build that passion in students that I had at that college and then instill it in coworkers that I had at the various places that I worked. And that passion led me here to Las Vegas, where I'm working at an awesome speakeasy. And like people ask me like, Paul, where are you gonna go when you go into Vegas? Like, where are you gonna work at? Which casino? I was like, I don't know. I just want to be near Fremont Street and I want to be serving classic cocktails. And I didn't even know the place that I work at existed. And that fell right into my lap because I happened to be at a board game night with a friend, and the at the time HR director came in to have a beer. We played a board game, and that's how I got the job that I'm at. So like, you don't even need to know what you want to do or where you want to go with your passion. If you just follow that passion, it will take you where you want to go, and the rest will just kind of fall into place. Or at least it happened for me. And that's just career-wise, that's not even talking about how I met Sherry. So yeah, finding your passion can be really hard. And, especially if you're at like a job that you hate, it can be very hard to be like, oh, I'm passionate about cleaning toilets. Like, yeah, that's pretty tough to get passionate about, and I will give that to anybody. I actually cleaned toilets for a little while, and the only passion you can really have is the idea that it's dirty and then it becomes clean, which is a bit of an instant gratification thing. But how do you become passionate about something that's maybe not your job, like because your job sucks and you don't like it? You want to find your passion. How do you find your passion? Well, the easiest way to find one's passion is to expose yourself to a bunch.
So I've always sort of followed my passion. It was just something that came natural to me. Like I never kind of understood not doing it. So at a very young age, I was constantly asking myself, like, what is my dream job? Like, what do I want to do for a living? And for a long time, my passion was like performing music. Like that was what I really, above anything else, like was really passionate about. And I sort of inadvertently did end up becoming a professional musician. The first time it happened, I was just practicing my harp at home and just practicing by myself. I had never really done it professionally. I'd just done it because I loved it for years. And I just felt like this weird impulse to like open the door. Like it felt like the music was being trapped inside the space I was in. It was a very strange impulse. But I opened the door a crack and I just felt better somehow. Like I just felt like that felt more right. And coincidentally, the next day, the person I was living with worked at a cafe, and he told me that they wanted to have like me play there. Like he had mentioned me like as being a harpist, and they had said like, well, why doesn't she bring her harp there? And that's how I got my start, was just like bringing my harp to this random cafe. And I had been playing there for a couple weeks, and then got news that the cafe was about to close. So they called me to, they're like, you need to get your harp out of here because like the cafe is going to close and your harp is going to just like get shipped off. So I had came there and I took my harp out of the cafe, but the problem is that I was practicing every day there, and it happened to coincide with the time I practiced. So instead of practicing inside of the cafe, I decided to practice outside in the commons area. So I ended up with this giant classical harp, like this pedal harp. And I was just sort of like set up in the common area, like in town, outside.
So the Commons, if you don't know, is in Ithaca, and it's like an
Yeah.
outdoor mall, like a pedestrian mall. And a pedal harp, if you didn't know, is around 8 feet tall.
Yeah, it was a giant, ridiculous harp. So it was not normal to see someone practicing a giant like pedal harp on the in the public area. And
Or anywhere.
Yeah. So a lot of people came up to me and asked me like where my tip bucket was. And I was like, oh, I'm just practicing. And they gave me, like, a lot of people gave me this really strange look. They're like, really? And then eventually, like, they kind of became, some people were actually very upset that I didn't have a tip bucket. So they started putting money in my mate cup that I had with me. Like they just started like putting dollar bills, and it was like half full. But they kept, anyways, but I didn't stop them because they really wanted to pay me. So when I got done playing, like I actually looked in my cup and I actually had like, I think like $20 or something. And I was currently unemployed, just kind of, doing my thing. So it was actually like a lot of money at the time. So, long story short, when they when the cafe owner paid her bills and got her cafe up and running again, I was able to bring my harp back there. But I realized, like, if I like take my harp out at like this time of day, I can actually make like some decent money. So that's how I got started, like being a street musician, was just realizing that like this time of day, if I took my harp out in public, I could make some money. And then it just kind of like eventually became like over time like a full-time career, where I realized like, okay, I can make more money in New York City, and like, and kind of learned like the best times to play. So for 8 years, like that kind of just became my career. But the whole point of this is just to say, like, you don't always know how your passion is going to become something, but like if you just keep following your passion, I truly believe like eventually you can make a living at it.
Yeah. If you just do what you love, eventually what happens is the way finds you. Like, you don't have to find your way. There was no way that Sherry knew that she would become a street
No.
musician and have reasonable success at it, and then parlay that into a successful musicianship. And there was no way for me to know that reading a cocktail book was going to allow me to parlay that into, in a few years teaching how to make drinks and how to taste wine and how to sell beverages at a college level, and then coming to Vegas and applying my craft at an even higher level. Like, you never know where your passion's going to take you. But the cool thing about passion is, if you're really passionate, that passion is like limitless, and that's a really cool thing that can drive you. There's not a lot of emotional energy sources that are without limit, and I think passion is one of them. And I think it's one that you can use in a helpful way more easily than you can use it in a way that's harmful. Like, if you're passionate for the wrong reasons, then it can be bad. But if you're passionate for the right reasons, then you can use that to drive you like a rocket fuel. So,
Yeah.
at least in my opinion. So the question is, what is passion? Well, passion is a strong feeling towards something. And for me, at least, I identify that as a strong feeling of enjoyment when I'm doing an activity or researching a subject matter. So, like, for example, I'm a professional mixologist. But one of my passions outside of mixology is playing the clarinet. I'm not a very good clarinet player at all. Like, not even a little bit. But here's the thing. I enjoy playing it, and that makes me passionate about it. So passionate that I made a New Year's resolution to play it every day this year, and I have kept up with it. It is currently October 4th. So that's a long time. That's like, I'm pretty sure
I
that's...
can vouch for him.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, I think that's over 200 days. I'm not going to do the mental math on that right now because I can't. But the point is, I play the clarinet not because I'm trying to be in a band playing the clarinet, not because I'm good at the clarinet, but because I like playing the clarinet. And I like clarinet music. And it wasn't that way at first, to be quite honest. When I first started practicing, I wasn't very good at it and I didn't enjoy it. And I got over that hump because I was passionate about learning. And so that's something that I hope other people can find, is that passion is its own reward, and you don't need to be good at what you're practicing, and you don't need to parlay monetary success out of that which you're enjoying and are passionate about. So, like, I'm passionate about cooking too, but I am not cooking for a living. I cook for my own pleasure and, to feed my girl. And so
I suck at cooking.
but, and that's okay. But being passionate about something, you don't have to be successful at it, or you don't even have to be very good at it to have passion and to derive joy from it. And, that I think is an important takeaway, is that, passion is its own end.
Yeah.
And it doesn't need to be anything more than that.
I agree. Like, a lot of people, like, I think they don't follow their own passions because they're afraid that, like, they don't know what they're doing and they're going to suck at it. And the reality is like, everyone sucks at something at first. Like, no one is completely amazing at something. And, if that's a fear that's holding you back, like, just do it. Just accept it,
Yeah. And you know what? It's okay to not be very good at something. And it's okay to not be the best at something. Like, we're both in a wushu class, and we're practicing kung fu and wushu.
We're the only non-professional athletes.
Yeah, everybody in that class is in Las Vegas is like a Cirque du Soleil performer or a professional athlete, outside of like us and one other person. So you know what that means? That means that we're the worst in the class.
Oh, yeah.
But you know what else that means? We're the best of all the people that live in the city of Las Vegas that aren't performers and athletes that aren't in that class. So, like one of my college professors told me, 95% of success is showing up. So if you show up for your passions, you're already a success, no matter how good or bad you are at them. And as long as you're enjoying them, you're doing it right, and you're doing yourself right. So,
and
yeah.
There's also the phrase 98% perspiration and 2% inspiration. Like, if you're pursuing something you don't know, like, you just have to expect that, like, a lot of it is not going to be just like inspiration and feeling. You have to accept that is not going to happen at first. Like, you're just going to have to work hard at it before you get that divine, like, creative impulse or whatever it is.
Yeah. But yeah, just keep following your passions, and in the act of following them and enjoying the pursuit of your passions, that's its own end, and you'll just find yourself enjoying your life a whole lot more.
So I think the most important thing, I feel like people don't follow their passions because it's kind of been like beaten out of us at an early age. Like we're taught like what should be important, and I see this a lot. Like, you know, kids, they reach a certain age and suddenly like what they really want to do becomes transformed into what they're kind of expected to do or supposed to do. So I think if you actually do want to follow your passion, like the most important thing to do is to ask yourself, like, is this important? Because if you don't see following your passion as important, or it can ever get you money, or that there's any reason for it, then you're not going to. So I think this is like a really big problem in like society now, is that people like just don't see the importance. You know, if something doesn't make you money, if it's not something that's deemed important, then it's like we're just like, this doesn't matter. So it's really sad because so many people that could do so many things in their lives and contribute, as well as like finding more satisfaction, like they just kind of let that go because it's like, you know, you're not raising kids, it might not pay the bills, like all of these things kind of prevent people from actually even like asking themselves, like, what am I passionate about? So that for me is like why I see like a lot of people don't follow their passions, and I think it's really important to ask yourself, like, you know, why aren't I? Like, if you're not following your passion, just ask yourself, like, why am I not doing it? You know, do I not think that I would ever really be good at anything? Do I not think that like people would ever appreciate it? You know, because these things sadly get in the way of like something that I think is really important. You know, I think we're here to do what we feel like, you know, do what we're meant to do and do what we love to do. So hopefully that helps.
Yeah.
So my current passion actually has to do with that, because I see so many people you know, in my life that like don't even know what their passion is, or they like just have a passion but they never make the time for it. So my current passion, having played music for like 8 years and having followed that path, is actually more to do with kind of teaching other people to like change their beliefs, you know, in order to like lead more like satisfying, like passionate, driven lives. So I'm currently like, I'm a certified life coach. Like I recently got that, and I'm trying to just like kind of put what I've learned to work, and like because I mean honestly I've been like an unpaid therapist for like pretty much my whole life.
Yeah.
Which is fine. I love it. I love listening to people's problems. I love trying to figure things out. So I'm not complaining. But my recent passion is having people that actually listen to my advice come to me. So that's kind of like, I love music, I love writing, I'm still following my own artistic pursuits, but recently I have included like really making it a priority to help other people to just like know the importance of like following their own dreams, and like that it's never too late. There's no age at which you are not allowed to, you know, follow your passions. Like I don't believe in that. I think that if we're on this planet, then we're meant to do what we feel compelled to do, you know? So.
Yeah. And that when you follow your passions, things usually pan out pretty good, and oftentimes better than you expect.